here, get the recording going here. I'm excited to see all of you joining in today. As you're logging in, please do let us know who you are and where you're joining us from. And just tell us a little bit about what you're wanting to be visible about. What are the things that you're wanting to put out into the world with your voice, with your message, and how are you showing up? So tell us who you are, what you do, and what your message is for the world right now that you're putting out into the world. So I am looking forward to seeing all of you jump into the chat box here and just hearing a little bit more about who you are. And I'm excited about this topic because I feel like women's visibility is one of the most important things I can be talking about right now. I think that your voice, your message is needed in our world. We're being called to step up, to show up, to put our voice out into the world. And that's what's really, really important. So as you're logging on, let's see, I'm just seeing who is logging on. Definitely put into the chat box who you are and what it is that you stand for, what your message stands for, and how you are just really showing up in the world. So start to drop that into the box and into the message box, the chat box, and we will start to hear more from you. I'm excited to hear that. And let's dive in. I'm Cammie Gellner, and if you don't know me, I am obsessed with helping women entrepreneurs raise up their voice and their visibility and grow businesses that they really love. It's something that's really important to me. And when I think about why that is I feel like women's wisdom is the medicine our earth needs right now. I've been working with women entrepreneurs for over 15 years, leading masterminds and coaching and really helping women put their voices out in bigger ways. I am on a mission to put a million voices out into the world, helping women raise up their voices and be seen and be heard. And one of the ways I do that is with my podcast, Extraordinary Women Radio. It's one of the top 1.5% of all podcasts out there. And FeedSpot names it as one of the top 10 best women entrepreneur podcasts. It's at number 6 right now, or last year it was at number 6. And then I host my Extraordinary Women Ignite conference every year. We're going to be hosting my 11th annual Extraordinary Women Ignite conference. You can always find it out on my website. I'm not going to hang around there on talking about that too much, because what I really want to dive into today is how you're putting your messages out into the world. I feel like it's really important. So as you are logging on, please put in your name, put in what your company name is and what your mission is, what your voice stands for right now. It's really important to put your voice out there in big ways, and this is a good way to do that. So drop that into the chat box. And we're going to talk about how to become the trusted voice in your industry. How do you become known as the go-to expert in your space? And how do you keep that voice out there in the world in a way that it attracts clients into your business? And one of my favorite things to really do is dive into how thought leadership, it's something that I've been teaching for a long time, is that thought leadership matters more now than ever, and why that is, and how you're going to craft content that earns trust and sparks connection and opens doors. We're going to talk about simplifying your visibility ecosystem. And I do call it an ecosystem. And I'll talk a little bit about why that is, so that you really find a system that will work for you and your business, that helps you create the business that you love. And then we're going to talk about how do you really amplify your presence, but that's really from an inner work. It's like, how do you show up as a movement maker yourself energetically? And how do you, so that people feel who you are and you're attracting people into your world? So that's what we're going to be talking about today. One of the things about 2025 is that it's a year to truly own your voice and step into your leadership. The market is saturated with so much noise. And what's going to really cut through that is being authentically you. And it's not about being louder, and it's about you being real and consistent and bold and sharing your unique message. So I want you to think about today, as we're diving into this, is what is that message that only you can deliver? And that's going to be a thread that we're going to keep coming back to, because I think that thread of that message that only you can deliver, it gets into the reason why you're here, the reason why you are here to do the good work that you're doing, and what is attracting people into your light. And I will say all day long that your visibility is your fire. that's what is, it's the fire in your business that attracts people to you. So it's like, attracting it's like when you see a fire, it's like, things we're drawn to fire. So you're building your authority takes time, but it really starts with you showing up and being visible and owning your expertise of who you are. There's a lot of reasons why old marketing is not working. And to start with, the marketing landscape is more complex than ever. And buyers they're more informed, right? They are more informed, they're more discerning, and it's going to take multiple interactions with you across various platforms before someone is ever even saying yes to you, or sometimes even reaching out to connect with you. They may be quietly following you and watching and listening, and they're going to come to this moment where they go, oh my gosh, I really want to have a conversation with you. So where this starts is one of the things that Google has shown recently is that buyers are consuming up to 11 hours of your content before they're ever making a decision. And they're engaging with your brand across 7 different touch points, and also sometimes across 4 different platforms or channels. So they're watching you. They're saying, what is she doing? What's happening? What is she teaching? It's like, oh, that sounds interesting. I'm intrigued. So they start to listen a little bit more. And that's this informed buyer. The good thing about that is by the time they actually get to you, they have actually gotten to know who you are in a bigger way. And that's, that makes the buying cycle actually even shorter by the time they get to you, because they've been watching, they've been listening, and they already know they want to work with you. And that's what you want to do, is you want to make those in sales conversations even easier, because they know who you are, and they know they're already aligned with you because they have been doing this deep listening. And I think what's also important about why the old marketing playbook is not working is there's just the sheer volume of information that's out there. We're getting hit with 60,000 messages on any given day. And so how do we really tune into, what attracts us? And what that is people, I want you to even think about the last time a message broke through to you. Chances are it was something energetically that drew you into that message. You were like, oh my gosh, I like what that person is saying. I like how the vibration of that person. And we're going to talk about how do you, really tap into that. Another thing to know is doing more isn't the answer. You don't need to be posting 7 days a week, 5 days for 5 times a day. I mean, that's just going to get noise. It's just going to add to the noise. What you want to have is really rich, deep content that people lean into. They feel that really brings you to the forefront. And being everywhere doesn't mean being trusted. So you can see people that are just all over the place, but it doesn't mean that the trust is built. And we're going to talk about how do you build more trust. And then the last thing that I'll say is that funnels and algorithms are really, they're outdated, right? I mean, yes, you can have a single, I have one single funnel in my business. And when people are coming into my business, they get to know who I am through that funnel. It's 4 emails. That's it. That's all I have in my business as a funnel. And what I'll say is that, if you think about creating funnels, they can be really draining, and they're just not delivering because people see the patterns in them. So those are some of the things why old marketing isn't working. What is working is depth over noise. So starting to think about how do you bring the depth of your work into really serving your clients. And that's something, it's really long form content is going to be important. It's really knowing, letting people get to know you. If they're going to take 11 hours of time to really consume your content, you've got to give them a place to go. Relationship overreach all day long. I will say this, I'll put a stake in the ground on this. Relationships, think about, you're always building relationships. You're always creating connections. And it's not about, reaching 1 million followers. It's actually about being in connection and in community with the people who know, love, and trust you. It's about presence over performance. And that's really about, who are you, being present to who you are, letting people feel who you are, and versus being a projector or performing. So it's like really being, just very much who you are at your very essence. And then the last thing is what is working is conversations create. more conversations are going to create more for your business. And, that's where you're really creating the relationships, right? The conversations create that relationship. So that's where that ties. So I'm going to just kick off with 3 visibility strategies that will move the needle for you in your business. And the first one is really owning your one message for the world. Your unique stake in the ground that makes you unforgettable. And we're going to do a whole section on what is your one message for the world, but it's a thought leadership message. It's something that you're saying that you stand for, that no one else can say, that is uniquely your opinion, your thoughts, and we'll dive into that. Speaking where trust is built, and that's where this relationships really work. And stages are fantastic. Podcasts are fantastic. It's like, where you can be in connection and community with others, and create that connection and authority by really taking a stage or getting onto a podcast. That's a great way for you to build trust, and we'll talk a lot more about that as well. And then creating long form soul aligned content. And we won't go into this in depth, but what I will tell you is that you definitely want to have long form content. So that means stages. It means guest podcasting. It means writing. It means your own podcast. It's like anytime that you can put content out where people can where people can dive into it and get to know your work more. I mean, something like this is a great long form content. So it's like, this is where we create these connections and people get to know what your work is. So think about where you're creating long form content. So the big goal is really to become the trusted voice in the industry, so that your dream clients recognize your authority and come to you already leaning in. So, if they've been watching, if they've been listening, they're already leaning in. They're like, oh my gosh, I want more of this person's work. So that's the big goal that we're trying to get to. And today I'm going to show you how to elevate your authority and your client attracting abilities. So we've got some different pathways we're going to go down today to get there. This is Shelly Johnson, someone who worked with me a couple of years back, and she is out there. The year that she worked with me, she grew her revenue by 220%, and it was by getting out and being in connection with others, being in conversation with others, and showing up as an authority in her field. And she is an authority in her field. And so that's the sort of thing, when you start showing up as an authority in your field, people go, oh my gosh, she's the one I need to go to for this. So she is an HR consultant and a recruiter. And so people know to go to her when they're looking for new jobs, when they're, when they're looking for their what's next, they know to go to Shelly. So that's what you're wanting to do, is find what it is that you want to be known for. My goal today is to really uplift every woman in this room today. And then my goal is to earn the right to continue this journey with you to the next level of your business. And I'll talk a little bit about how we can do that as we get towards the end of this call today. But where I'm going to take you is on this journey. I want every single woman having an opportunity to take something away from this, to go, I can apply this in my business today, and it's going to make a difference. Okay, let's start with your one message for the world. And really, this is about igniting that leader in you and that thought leader in you. And when we do this, you become known as the go-to leader in your space. You stand out with your original thought leadership message, and gets people to stop and think and act and do differently. And we'll really talk about what that means, because you can put a lot of messages out there, but what are the types of messages that are there that get people to go, that's something new, it's something different, and it makes a lot of sense to me. And it also, creating this one message for the world helps you be a sought after expert to speak to podcast guests and more. It's like people are searching you out to say, come be on my stages, come be on my podcast. And that's where you get elevated into that space. So if the whole world could hear one message from you, I would love to hear what that is. As you're thinking about this, and you can drop it in here if you want to. I'll tell you, I'm going to give you some caveats on what makes this powerful. And when I look at that, sorry, this isn't moving. what is it you really, where you start is what is it that you stand for? And, if the whole world could hear one thing from you, what would that be? Let's look at some examples. So we know that Brene Brown stands for courage. So she says you can choose courage or you can choose comfort. You cannot have them both. And when you look at, so when you see Brene going to talk, she's going to be talking about courage. That's something that she's known for, being brave. And Gabby Bernstein is another favorite of mine. And she says, I let go of my need to control and allow the universe to do her thing. And that's she's all about letting the universe have your back, right? Let the universe come in and support you. Malala says girls should learn history and also make it. So we know that she's all about education. So you start to see a theme here, right? You're starting to see each of these women has something short and repeatable, but it's also, is really aligned to what they stand for. Mine is women's wisdom is the medicine the earth needs. That's what I stand for. And that is that I say that from the very soul of my being. I know your work, your message, the things that you're here to do right now is serving our earth right now in a way that we all were called to do. So, I truly believe that. Dana Kirchmar is one of my clients, and she says, what if we stopped asking girls if they're good at math and started asking what problems they would love to solve? This is a really good one. And this is one that, gets people to stop and think and go, gosh, what if we stopped doing one thing and started doing another? And, it's an original thought. It's like, how do we get off of this asking girls if they're good at math? I think this is a really good one. Another one is Shelley Shell. When women invest in companies they believe in, our world will change. Another client, Antoinette Thompson. Midlife isn't a crisis. It's an opportunity for profound momentum and impact, right? So often people are saying that midlife is a crisis. It's not a crisis. This is Vivica von Rosen. Women's worlds changed the world. Renelle Everett Dar, when we heal ourselves, so she works in the corporate world, right? So she helps leaders and companies really transform their organizations. When we heal ourselves, we will heal our systems. So she really helps organizations heal the system, heal their systems by healing leaders first. So when you're starting to think about your one message for the world, this is what it is. It's your opinion. It's something you're going to put a stake in the ground and say, this is mine that I'm going to declare. And it's memorable and it's repeatable. It gets people to stop and think and act and do differently. The attention span of people is so small. It's got to be quick and easy to say. It's also something that you can say and drop into a conversation. And I think that's a big piece of this. Is something, like if you think of Dana's, it's like, what if we stopped asking girls if they're good at math? It's a conversation generator. And then what it is not is a tagline or positioning statement or a marketing kind of statement. It's not a quote from someone else. It's not an inspirational saying. It's not a common statement that you might hear all the time, like find your purpose and live your life. It's just that's too benign. You need to really tune that up. And so I would love, I'm going to offer something at the end that if you guys want to go deeper into how you're building out your statement, you can jump on a call with me and we can go deeper on this. But this is a good way for you to really start thinking about it, right? It's like, what's that statement that you want to stand for? So put thought behind this. You can take a screenshot of this, and so that you can go back and journal on this and know that this is something that takes a bit of time to get to. It's not something you generally create in a 10-minute kind of setting. And do it from your heart and soul. Try not to do this with ChatGPT. I'm a huge fan of ChatGPT, but I will say all day long that we cannot we can't outsource our leadership of thought, and we can't AI our leadership of thought. So let it come from you first. And then once you have that, you can leverage ChatGPT or any, some other AI tool, but let it come from you. What is it that you want to be known for? What is it that, if you're putting a stake in the ground, what is that? And once you start to do that, what you could do is you start to build out, this is what a communication message box that I teach my clients. You have your one message for the world in the center. And then you have different teaching points. Like, what are the teaching points, the talking points that you want to develop that supports that one message for the world? So that's where you're really taking that. It's like you're saying, okay, I've got my one message for the world. And this starts to build out a framework for you to create a content strategy. And as you do that, you can even, for each one of these boxes, you'll have these subtopics, and then you'll have stories that will be associated with that. You'll have facts, you'll have statistics, you'll have subtopics that might go underneath of all of these. And you can even have questions that somebody, if you're going on to a podcast guesting opportunity, you could have a question that would lead them to this, this topic, or to your one message to the world. So this becomes a framework that really helps you build out your content strategy. And it's more than we can cover today, but it's what you can start to see, this opportunity for you to build a framework for what it is you stand for, and then have a way to go back to it. And it gives you an endless supply of content ideas, because you've thought this through, and it's very aligned to what it is that you want to stand for. So that's why we do this. The other piece I want to talk about, when as long as we're talking about thought leadership, is what is your thought leadership brand type? And this is, I'll give you some examples here. But before we go to the examples, I want to first just state that all good brands must have personality, energy, credibility, and knowledge. So I'm just going to put that as a baseline. All good brands have it, no matter what type of thought leadership brand type you are. And then we can get into starting to look at some of these different leaders. So if we are over here, we can look at Sir Richard Branson and Oprah and Mel. Why can't I think of her? Mel. I can't think of her last name right now. Mel. So they're personality brands, right? They are person specific. They're lifestyle. They're energy specific. High energy. They are. They show a lot of personal of their lifestyle associated with with a personality brand. An expert brand. So here we've got Brene Brown, we've got Warren Buffett, and you could think of Sheryl Sandberg or Dr. Christine Northrup that fall into that same kind of a category. Again, they're person specific. They tend to be very smart brands and a bit more serious and a bit more professional. And they are showing up as a subject matter expert in their space. So that's another type of brand that we've got there. Then we've got an industry or cause brand. So these can be advocacy brands. They can be built around a cause or a community or common interest. Here's a few that I love. The Women's Foundation of Colorado is one that I really, really love. They're a great advocate. They do great things for women in Colorado. The Worldwide Wildlife Federation is another great one, right? So these are industry or cause brands. And then you can get into company brands. You think of Nike or Lonely Planet or Apple. They're built around a product or built around the company. And so just think about, when you're thinking about your thought leadership brand, where do you fall in this spectrum? I'd love to hear from you as you just drop into the chat box. Where do you think your thought leadership brand sits? Let's hear from a few of you. I'm going to pull out Janine Vanderberg because I know she's on here. Oh, there she is. She's already jumping in there. A combination of personality and cause. Yeah, I think there's definitely a bit of both of those for you, Janine. And I think that makes a lot of sense. And Danette, personality and cause here too. I think that makes a lot of sense. You both could also, I think you both have a strong expert brand as well. So I think there's an element of expert brand that is making an impact. So I think that makes a lot of sense. Personality and expert, I'd say personality and expert. Cool. I like that. And I would really, encourage you to think about, is there one that I could really lean into most? Because there's a lot of duals here. So is there one that you could lean into most? Yeah, Betsy, I think that you and I are a lot alike. And I used to think that I was a personality brand, but more and more, I think I fall into the land of expert brand. I think you could fall into some of that as well. Sue, I think you might fall into that expert brand as well. Sylvia, I think expert is a good space for you. You definitely, and we all have impact. I mean, I get that. We all desire to make an impact with this. So I'm loving this. So just think it through. It's like, what is your type of brand? Because that's going to define the types of content that you're putting out there. Okay, your influence is a ripple. So this is the impact that we're talking about, right? So, and this goes back to, I see so many of you wanted to make sure that you're bringing in the cause, because I know that's who I attract into my community, because we all want to make a difference. And when you guys are being visible, your influence is a ripple effect. It's like, how are you putting your message out into the world? So you're impacting your clients. You might be impacting a boardroom or a community of some sort. You might be impacting policy. You might just really be impacting the world. I mean, your voice can impact the world. I mean, I looked across who some of the women on this community, I know you guys are making a ripple effect across the world. And that is, you can only do that by being visible. So when I talk about a visibility playbook, always know that we're getting, the reason for this visibility playbook is to create a ripple effect of impact. And I think, just know that. Okay. So when I teach messaging to my clients, we start building your brand from the inside out. So that's where we start. And then we get into your customer journey. How do you speak your client's love language? And then we get into your one message for the world. So this is really the voice part of my work. And Janine, I'm sorry you have to leave as well, but we can definitely dive into this more. So this is just the voice part of my work that I teach. We're not going to get into these two areas today, because we just don't have space and time. We're going to focus our efforts on visibility, but this is a full matrix of how you put your message out into the world. And when you're putting your message out into the world, and you've gone through the steps of like building your brand from the inside out, looking at your customer journey, and then having this overarching one message for the world, your thought leadership platform, you really build a comprehensive messaging matrix that you are not going to run out of content anytime at all, because you just have a depth of information to be working with. This is Dana. You saw her already today, but I'll tell you what's happened for her by really elevating her voice is that she's getting C-suite doors to open more and more than she's ever has in her life, because she's getting on more stages, and she's really creating a huge ripple effect as an expert. She is a rocket scientist. So she is out there working in the aerospace and aviation industry, making an impact. Really, her goal is to change that. Right now, there's less than 3% of women in aviation and aerospace at the leadership levels, and she's on a mission to change that. So, this is what happens is when you put your voice out in the world as an expert, doors open for you, and that's really what you're wanting to make happen. Okay, now we're going to step into the second part of this. So this is about simplifying your visibility ecosystem. And this is where you start to build trust in your community. And, we've already talked about the old ways of marketing are out. And what we really want to build is a know, love, and trust marketing ecosystem that drives lasting relationships and sustainable growth in your business. And when you do this, you start to create a repeatable, scalable marketing system that you're going to be attracting your ideal clients into your business. And you're going to create a nurturing sales system that helps you build a pipeline, not just for now, but also into the future. And you're going to simplify and streamline your marketing with repeatable assets, things that you can repurpose and reuse. So this is what we're going to get into as we dive into this. And what I want you to start with is knowing is that visibility plus connection really builds that know, love, and trust. So you getting out and being visible, creating connection with others is going to build a know, love, and trust ecosystem. And I want you to forget about funnels. Does that make anybody excited to say, I don't want to do funnels anymore? If it does, drop a yes, no funnels into the chat box, because I'm not a fan of funnels. I don't like to be on a funnels list. And yeah, so we don't want funnels. So it's like, we're going to start to change this up and turn it into an ecosystem instead. And so when you look at this, so we've crossed out the funnel, and you see what you see here at the base. We see this is where we're building the trust with your existing community that already know, loves, and trust you. You've got this know, love, and trust. So in the middle, we've got your teachings that you're putting out into the world. And at the top, we've got the reach, where you're bringing in other people's audiences. So there's a little bit of a structure to, you've got other people's audiences, you've got, your teachings and your trainings, and then you've got people who already knows, loves, and trust. You've got a little bit of a shape of a funnel here, but here's where it goes different. So first of all, we're going to start at the bottom, because there's a group of people who already know, loves, and trust you. And that is where we are looking at this base. This is the base of your know, love, and trust. People who are already in your community. It might be conversations you're having. It might be events that you host, communities that you compile together, you bring together, your email list, your word of mouth, your referrals, your strategy calls. All of that is people you're already having conversations who they say, I love what you're doing. And then in the middle, we've got your education. The middle of your ecosystem is education. And this is where you might have your own podcast. It might be YouTube. It might be live streaming. It might be webinars, like this sort of a thing, or master classes. Organic social is another good place. And people that have come into your world already know, they've already fallen in love with you, because they've been following you and they've got information from you, and they're like, yeah, this is really valuable to me. And then you get to other people's audiences, where you're speaking and you're guest podcasting, you're doing affiliate partnerships or roundtables. That's one of the things I love to do, is roundtables, where I'm collaborating with somebody else, so we're co-collaborating in an event together. Articles or advertising, PR, paid social, those are other people's audiences. So where you're really starting this then is you start at the bottom. It's like, what are you doing right now that, and you're not doing all of these things. You're picking one or two things to do really well out of these lists. And you're saying, okay, what am I doing to engage my current community? What am I doing to educate people? And how am I tapping into other people's audiences? So I want you to just think about that for yourself, and just jot that down for yourself. It's like, which are your ways that you're putting, that you're marketing, and what the reason this becomes an ecosystem is because when you have people who already know, love, and trust you. You have people who are just getting to know you, and then you create this educational, layer in your business, in your marketing ecosystem. And the people that already know, love, and trust you can go to the educational teachings that you're doing. And the new people who are coming into your world can also go into the educational piece. So it's actually coming together this way versus this way. And the more of your trainings that you're doing in the middle is where people get to, they're like, oh my gosh, I love what she's teaching. And it goes right back to what I was talking about at the beginning of this call, where we were talking about people are going to go and they're going to binge on your content. So where can people binge on your content? They can binge on it here, right? That's where you're wanting, people to get that experience from, whether they're brand new to you or people that have been in your community for years. So that's really what you're thinking about. How can you amp that up? So where are the breakthrough opportunities in your marketing? Is it the base? Is it the middle? Is it the top? Is it a combination of these three? I would love to hear from you, and just drop into the chat. Is it, where are the opportunities that's going to really shift up your marketing? Is it base, middle, top, or the combination? Let's hear from you guys. The middle. Okay. That's often, Jeanette. That's often, and Jill, middle and the top. I often see that. It's like, it's like, where are you tapping into other people's audiences? How do I create more trainings? So, great insights there. Thanks for sharing that. Okay. So this is Ruth Kent, another client. And last year she grew she applied these strategies to her business in a great way. And when she applied this to her business, she started, doing more regular trainings, and she was getting on stages, other people's audiences. She increased her revenue last year by 32% and, leapt into six figures plus, simply by, creating this type of an ecosystem. And, and she got really good also. And this is where we talk about, she was converting people off of her trainings and 16% into enrolling into her programs. So she was having a great, she was really doing well with that. So remembering that visibility is the fire in your growth. And this is the beauty of this, is we have so many ways that we can get visible. We can get on stages, we can do we can do live streams, we can do master classes, we can do podcasting, we can write a book. I mean, there's so many ways that we can get visible. What I want you to think about is like, how are you going to really get visible? And what are the ways that you can amplify your messages that you're putting out to the world? Drop into the chat box. What are your favorite ways that you want to be getting visible in this next year? Drop that in there. And Danette, yes, you do need to do more of what you do. I love it. So speaking engagements is a really good way. It's a great way to, land that, to get more clients. Betsy, podcast and speaking. Awesome. I love to do podcasts and speaking podcasts, right? So what I'd say is, as you're thinking that through, it's like really get good at the way that the way you want to be visible, get good at it. Add that training to your work and make that so that you're putting your voice out in bigger ways. You want to position yourself as a thought leader. You can show up on social as a leader. When you're on stages, post pictures of you on stages. Really put your message out there in bigger ways. Put yourself out as a leader. And when you're thinking about speaking models, there's lots of different ways that you can put your voice out there. I personally prefer the invitation from the stage. I have sold over $1 million from the stage over the years, just through my Ignite conference and different stages that I have been on. And it's because I like that connection with an audience. It's fun for me. It lights me up. And so when I think about me being on high vibration, that's a good way to invite people into my business, is to put myself on stages. The other one is a keynote speaker, and you can get paid to speak. So you can choose which model you really want to go down, but, and you can do both for that matter. You can do both of those, but know that I'm a big fan of invitations from the stage and speaking. I speak a lot, and I'm not always being paid to speak. I have been paid to speak, but I'm not always being paid to speak, because I can actually invite people into my audience, into my community in a way from a stage that I really like that ability to be able to do that. So here's some tips on finding speaking gigs. First of all, tell people that you want to speak. I mean, it's all day long. I'd say that most of my speaking comes to me in a way that, it's somebody I know. It's like, I've met somebody and they're like, oh, would you like to be on my stage? And I'm like, yeah. So really think through, like, where are the people, who are the leaders of communities that there are, that are bringing speakers in, put that out there. I can tell you that right now we've got a call for speakers for my Ignite conference that it closes this week. So this is a good time. If you want that link, we can, you just reach out to me personally and I'll share that with you where you can get that. Another thing is that network in communities that bring speakers in. So go be in those communities and be active in those communities. Associations and industry conferences, depending on the type of work that you're doing, especially if you do a lot of corporate work, those are really good places to be. And those are generally paid. Corporate conferences or intergroups, like a women's leadership group in an organization is a good one. And so think of, what are the companies that have those types of leadership groups, and where are those corporate conferences? Again, you can get paid to speak at those. Get engaged in organizations like the National Speakers Association. Google call for speakers or regional organizations. Start your own events. There's and that's I kind of breezed over that one, but starting your own events is a really good way to put your voice out there in the world. That's after hosting Ignite this will be my 11th year of hosting Ignite this year. It's a really good way to put your voice out there and put yourself out there as an expert. So I want to do, I've got something coming up for if speaking is one of the things you want to be doing. This is a good thing to be sharing with you right now. Let me share this. This is our Soul Speaks from the Stage, and it's coming up July 10th through 12th. And I'm going to start with just some feedback from some people who have attended Soul Speaks.
Hi, my name is Jennifer McNiven, and this is my first time that I have attended Soul Speaks. I've attended a lot of different speaking opportunities, and this one seriously has been one of the best ones that I have ever attended. The reason why is we are literally speaking from the soul. We aren't planning our talks, we aren't having a detailed sequence of how it's supposed to go. We're literally just telling stories to friends. We're doing so on stage, and we're finding that our purpose and our power is becoming more bright than we ever knew that it could be. I have seen so many women shine so bright. I've made some amazing new friends, and I truly believe that Soul Speaks is something that everybody should attend if they're really wanting to share their message with the world. Thanks.
I'm Elizabeth Murphy, and I just experienced the most incredible few days in Soul Speaks from the Stage. The amount of openness and women finding their voices in one room in such a short period of time is just miraculous to me. I have enjoyed every second of it, and I can't wait to attend again.
Hey, I just wanted to give a quick shout out to Cami and to Paula for a terrific Soul Speaks workshop. This was my first time attending, and I didn't really quite know what I was going to step into, but I was blown away. I am grateful that they created a space where I could not just only unleash, but also harness and develop and grow in my ability to connect with my soul. Totally transformative, completely recommend for women that are looking to not find themselves, but to connect to their voice and to also build the trust that they need to propel them to that next level. So if you're that woman, look no further. Soul Speaks is your jam.
So I came to Soul Speaks pretty much sure that I had it all down anyway, because I am a professional speaker. And let me just tell you, I feel like I've let go of so much and learned so much, but learned it really from my gut, from my heart, from my soul, that it has completely changed the way that I will speak from now on. So no matter what level you're coming in at, as a beginner, I'm terrified to get on stage, or as a professional speaker, Soul Speaks really can move the needle and create a new experience for you and help you become much, much better than you are right now. So I am ever so grateful for this opportunity.
If you're considering wanting to do Soul Speaks, I cannot encourage you enough. This practice has helped me from a stage. It's helped me leading groups as a coach. It's helped me leading groups on Zoom. And it's helped me have one-on-one conversations in my life, in my personal life, that may have been uncomfortable otherwise. To take a deep breath, allow myself to speak from my heart, and trust the words that come out of my mouth. I can't say enough. I hope you'll come next time, and I probably will see you here. Thank you.
So that's Soul Speaks. And let me do this here. Just back up. Okay. So that is going to be July 11th through 12th in Denver, Colorado. And there's the link to sign up for it if you want some more information on it. It's a great way to really learn to come into your body and into your skin and like embody who you are. And we're going to talk a little bit more why this is so important. But that's a great tool to do that. And this takes us right into really amplifying your presence, right? How do we amplify our presence when we do show up on stages? How do we shine our light in a really bright way? And I'll tell you, it starts with this, what I've really gotten clear with, it's your rooted flame, right? It's like who you are. It's like you're rooted, you're grounded, and you're embodied, and you're the fire, the flame around you. And I'll talk, when a lot of people are starting to get visible, they may have some limiting beliefs. So we have to kind of shed those. We have to get rid of those limiting beliefs that are around us. And then we start to step into space of really knowing our strength and our power, and we have confidence. So we're in a solid place. It's a good place to be in, but there's a next level that we get to. And this is where we are really embodying our leadership. We're embodying our messaging. And this is where we become a beacon of light in the work that we're doing. And we really can become that movement maker, that impact maker that we're wanting to be. So this root of flame that we can be, it really, and I think this is what Soul Speaks does so beautifully, is it helps us step into like just fully being ourselves and in our messaging and how we show up on stages. And so it can be really powerful. So embodied presence, or message and presence, it's when your energy, your message, and your intention all align, you really become unforgettable, right? It's like people, they go, oh my gosh, I felt that person in the room, and they're leaning in. And your presence is felt in the room before you even speak. Like you're walking onto the stage, people can feel that. And your audience really responds to how you're showing up just as much as to what you say. And so when you think about how you want people to experience you, when you speak, when you lead, when you take a stand, what are the qualities that stand out for you? Drop into the chat here. What are the qualities that you want people to feel and to experience when you speak, when you take a stand, when you put your message out into the world? What are the qualities you want people to feel? Right? So tell me more about hope. You want people to feel hope. You want people to, so that hope that people are like, oh, I feel a brighter world for myself. I want people to feel inspired and trusted and connected. So those are words. I want you guys to take those. And active hope. Yes, of course, Betsy, active hope, not just hope. That makes a lot of sense. So that's what you want people to feel and lean into there. And that's where we are starting to ignite our female advantage, right? And I've been training people for years. And when I think about this, our female advantage that we have this light that we can bring out into the world. And I think this is important for you to really tap into this light that is inside of you. And we can do this with our R factor, what I call, how you resonate matters. And when I think about R factor, we are looking at several things here. We're looking at our mindset. We have all the stories that show up for us when we start getting visible, all the stories that tell us like, oh, who am I? What am I supposed to be? Am I meant to be sharing this message? Or, what will people think? Or whatever those stories are. In fact, I wrote a blog post this week. If you haven't seen my blog post from this week, it's over on LinkedIn as of this morning. And I'm talking a lot about the mindset, the stuff that shows up for us and how heavy that can be. So we want to make sure that our mindset is clear. Second, we want to make sure that our body is clear and clean. It's like, are we taking care of our bodies in good ways? These are our vessels that lead us on this journey, that allow us to get out and put our messages out into the world. So our bodies, it can be our energetic bodies. It can be the nutrition we feed our bodies with. It can be how we move our bodies on a day-to-day basis. Our bodies need all of this to make us be our brightest, how we resonate on our brightest light. And then spirit is spirit, however you spirit. But find the way that you spirit that lights your soul up in a way that's like you are aligned with the purpose you're meant to be bringing into the world. And then your community is the other part of our factors, like who's the community around you that enables you to put your messages out into the world, that lifts you up on the good days and lifts you up on the bad days. Community is a really essential part of your R factor. And with the right community, you will have an embodied fire. It's like that. It's like we're going to get moments of doubt and uncertainty in our journey. And when we have this embodied fire, we can move through that in a way that empowers you, right? It gives you the space to ignite and sustain your fire instead of like getting stuck in the messiness. And in the right community, you can really embody courage. You start to step into spaces that you might not have stepped in before. And then embodied action is not just about making plans, but it's actually owning the actions that you're stepping into and taking. And it's helping you, take those next steps to help you, into the place that you're wanting to go. So that's what community can really help you do. So this is a great quote from a woman named Belinda Chu. I took the Inner MBA last year from Sounds True, and this is one of her teachings that she talked about. She says, we're not in a new paradigm, and I talk about a new marketing paradigm all the time, but I love this. We're not in a new paradigm, but we're remembering an ancient paradigm. We're actually going back to ancient ways of being, and I think that's why women's wisdom is so important right now. We're remembering, right? We are remembering a different way of being. And I think women have this natural inclination we want to come together in circle. We want to gather, and we've been doing it a long time. And, it's really this way that we can show up. And if we start thinking of this way of being an ancient paradigm of reconnecting to our wisdom, I think we are going to come a long ways and being able to voice our messages out into the world in a way that connects with people at the very heart. This is another one of my clients, and she's a client currently right now, and she's 4x'd her revenue this year. And she came out of the executive marketing world and had lots of experience, and but her business wasn't growing quite as fast as she wanted to. And she wasn't thinking big enough, right? I was like, wait a minute, you have all these years of experience. Let's really look at how you're serving your clients and who you're serving. And we were really able to turn that dial up in her business because of that, because by really looking at these sorts of things, your mindset, the way you're showing up, the way you're embodying your pricing, all these sorts of things, it's like, this is an important part of that journey. So she's done a lot of that work. So I want you to start thinking about creating your vision to action plan. Where do you want your voice to be heard next? Write that down. Where's your voice meant to be heard? What platforms are you ready to own? Like, be the expert on, and what support do you need to get there? So really think those through. And, if you want to be live streaming all the time, do you need that live stream support? I mean, it's like, think about how you want to show up. It's then show up as the best you. And then what's one action you can take in the next 30 days to really own your seat and amplify your impact? And jot that down for yourself. There's one more thing you need to have. We've talked a lot about voice and visibility today. And the one we haven't talked about is vision. And this is where, when I talk about vision, I'm talking about what's the vision of the impact that you want to make? What's the vision of the life that you want to create? And that takes the right packaging, the right pricing, and you're building it from that perspective. You're really building, your vision supported by a business model that helps you get to where you want to get to. And when you do that, you simplify your business so that it's scalable. So it gives you more time and more dollars. You design a business and a life that you love, and you lead with impact and mission. So I'm all day long about lead with impact and mission. So that's the vision part of it. And when I looked at the pillars of my work, I call it the Soul Plus strategy, pillars of prosperity. We've got vision, we've got voice, we've got visibility. We've spent a lot of time here today on voice and visibility. Like, what is your message? One message for the world. How are you getting visible? What's the marketing ecosystem you're creating? This is the work that we spent a lot of time today. And then this part here is really important, the vision part of it, because if you're going out and you're getting visible, you want to make sure that you have the right packaging, the right pricing, and you have the right business model. So like, if you get out and get visible, you have a place to put your clients. You've designed your business in a way that really fits and works that way. So I want you just to ask yourself, do you have all three of these pillars, and where are the opportunities? And I'll offer up at the end of the call today how we can do a prosperity audit where we look at all three of these in a way that, where's the dial that needs to get turned up. So each strategy is really powerful on its own, but the magic happens when you put them together, right? When you get the vision, the voice, and the visibility. And this is what I call the spiral journey of your business. And what I'll say is that no matter what level your business is at, these three pillars, they continue to work, right? So they continue to evolve to the next level, And it's pretty simple stuff. You look at these three pillars and you go, okay, where do I need to turn that dial up? And, so think about it from these three pillars. And often it's just a small tweak. And really my superpower is helping you identify what needs to be tweaked and what do you want to turn the dial up on. So to recap what we've covered today, you've learned that raising up your thought leadership message and presence will open more doors for you. That's going to open up more doors, more, whoever the people that you're wanting to have conversations with, if you're wanting to get on more stages, if your message is elevated, people are in something that's unique that you're bringing to the table, people are going to say, I want you to be on my stage. So I want you to be on my podcast, whatever that looks like. 2, you've learned that speaking your client's love language will attract more clients into your business. And 3, you will learn how to amplify your presence and shine your light. So you don't need 4 programs to do this. You can have in it. A lot of times people try to piecemeal all these pieces together. This is what I teach in my mastermind program all year long, are the 3 pillars: the vision, the voice, the visibility. We go deep into all of the, deeper into the voice and how you're putting your message out into the world. And I don't want you to have to figure this out on your own. I've been helping entrepreneurs do this for many, many years, guys. And I'm really good at being able to help women see, what their business, what shifts they need to make that happen. The other part of vision, voice, and visibility, when you start to add community into the mix of it, you have amazing things that happen. It's like what happens when you put community together. So I would like to just extend an invitation to you to join our Soul Plus Strategy Mastermind. Yes, there's our lovely Trisha, Betsy. I totally thought that when I saw that picture. Yes, I'd love to have you guys join us in the Soul Plus Strategy Mastermind. And this is where I'm one that gets to intimately know your business. I'm not somebody that just does cookie cutter kind of coaching. I dive deep into your business. I roll my sleeves up. I get to know your business. And your inner wisdom is part of that team. We get to tailor your pathway uniquely to you and exactly what it is that you need. So I bring real strategy that's aligned to who you are. Amplify your voice and visibility. This is where we elevate your brand's voice in the marketplace, allowing you to articulate your vision more powerfully and connect deeply with your soul clients. You become known as the go-to brand in your space. And then I get to bring strategic marketing insights to you. It's like, how do you get tailored strategies that are going to simplify how you do business, attract your clients, ideal clients, and increase your revenue, and amplify your brand's voice in the marketplace. I've talked about that. Sorry, that's a duplicate slide there. Or maybe there we go. Visionary business, I think I was going backwards. Visionary business modeling, where we get into scaling your business model that not only aligns with your personal values and goals, but also drives sustainability and growth. It's about more time prosperity and more wealth prosperity. And you join a community of thought partners for your own growth. We meet 3 times a month. We focus on your business. You choose which program is right for you. I've got some different options that you can choose from, whether you're hitting your first 6 figures or you've crossed over the 6-figure mark and ready to scale to the next level. I've got mastermind for, people on their way to 6 figures, and a mastermind for women scaling beyond 6 figures. And you become part of an intimate community of impact-focused women entrepreneurs, fostering collaboration and support and really shared growth opportunities. And you get me as your mentor and guide. So that's a fun thing, right? So each pillar I teach is worth the entire investment and more. But I'll tell you that my clients, they come back with great success stories. This was Cynthia Farrell. In the very first meeting that we had together, I told her she wasn't charging enough, and she started building higher rates into her next project. And that rate increase on that one project covered the cost of her investment with me in my VIP mastermind program. Another one, Nicole Trick-Steinbach, who serves the women in tech. She surpassed her 6 figures in revenue in the first year of her business, broke free from all the stuff that was showing up here in her mindset, and really built an impressive career serving women in tech around the globe, helping them step into their brave. So the last quote I'm going to leave you with here is, true influence is measured by the moments you refuse to fade. And I want you to just take that in, because it's when you think about true influence, that you are wanting to create your light. And I believe this more than ever right now. I think we're just in an interesting time in our world. And I feel like it's time for all of us to step up how we're showing up, step up our visibility, step up how our messages are delivered, and make sure that they're unique and they're driving change. And I think that's a really important part, is we want to be driving change. And to do that, it takes us taking bold actions and bold steps. I would be very happy to do a prosperity audit with you. And in a prosperity audit, we look at those 3 pillars: vision, voice, and visibility. We look at your messaging. We look at your thought leadership messaging. We say, okay, what needs to be tweaked? What needs to be elevated? What needs to be amped up? And you're going to walk away with, here's a plan that I can go take in that prosperity audit. If you're curious about what that looks like, let's have a conversation. You can grab the link. Jessica's dropped it in there. And that's all I've got for you guys today. Come join us into the mastermind. Come join us in the prosperity audit. You've also got the Soul Speaks from the Stage, which we'll be doing July 10th through 12th. And we've done that event for 7 years now, and it's a really magical event. So there's multiple ways you can come play with me. And the prosperity audit's free, so it's a good way to do it. So that's all I've got for you today. Thanks so much for joining us, and we will talk to you all later. Bye.